Welcome back to the channel. A very warm welcomes to you all. Can you believe it is October already? I'm like, what happened to the summer? Where did it go? I have to say, it does feel like the year has just literally shot past and I blinked and it's all over. That's how it feels. Huge thank you to all those lovely new subscribers that have come join the channel. Welcome back to all of my regular subscribers. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see and you rather like the idea of coming and hanging out with me monthly, please don't forget to hit the little subscribe button, tick the little notification bell, and that way you won't miss anything that I upload. Well, people, what can I say? September was a blast, but it was super busy. I felt like it was super busy, super productive, super exciting. It was just super everything. So, what can I say? Lots of stitching happened in September. I've recently, last weekend, come back from my first stitching retreat since before lockdown, which was the UK Chatelaine retreat, which I'll talk about that along the way. I had an absolute blast. So there's likely to be quite a lot in this video today. There's just a lot of stuff, lots of stuff. So for those of you that only like to watch certain parts of the video, I'm going to put timestamps in the description box below, and also when you scroll along on the actual timeline of the video, it will title actually what is going on in the video. So that way, if you're not interested in all of it, you're not a whole person, you don't really want life update or anything like that, it does give you the opportunity to sort of like flip around to the bits that you are interested. So as I'm mindful of the fact that not everyone wants to know about my whole life story, I think the first things first, let's start with the whips and what I've managed to achieve this month. Whips wise, I'm feeling rather smugly productive, she says. I don't know. It looks like I've done, you know, my spreadsheet is done for the month. And to me, it looks like I've stitched a lot because I've stitched on a lot of different projects this month in September. So yeah, so I'm feeling rather accomplished. So for the whips, I'm going to show you these in no particular order of when they were stitched this month, because there's quite a lot of them for once, which is always a nice thing. So first up we have Alternative Reality, which is a Heaven and Earth design. Where I've got pictures of where you last saw it, you will see those. Alternative Reality got 2 days worth of stitching this month. Although that was because at the time I was off work, it got 2 almost full days of stitching. And here is where we've got to. So I'm very impressed with the progress this month on Alternative Reality. So it's stitched on a 25 count Magic Guides ecru, and I'm stitching it 1/1, full cross. And I've changed the way that I'm doing these. So because I always used to work with GoodNotes for all of my projects, everything I used to put on electronically onto GoodNotes, and I would work page by page on my full coverage. I've now switched over to Pattern Keeper and have been with Pattern Keeper now for some time. If you haven't already gone and checked out Pattern Keeper, if you're a full coverage stitcher and you have an Android, because at the moment I think it's still only available on Android and not on Apple devices, it's a game changer, I have to say. So how I would normally stitch one of these would be, because GoodNotes you upload the PDF as page by page, I would always stitch in my 10 by 10 blocks until I got a page finish. I'd finish the page and then start the next page, which does give you the page finish satisfaction buzz, I must say. However, the problem with that is you can end up getting stuck in the same place and stitching the same colour endlessly, which for me, it puts me off wanting to stitch on it. So I decided that now that I'm on Pattern Keeper, and Pattern Keeper sort of, instead of, it does show the dividers of page by page, but it actually does the whole design. So instead of doing page by page in 4 blocks, in my 10 by 10 blocks in a diagonal, I've now decided that I'm going to do it across the whole project, which for me changes things up because I don't get so bored of stitching the same area in the same colours to have to finish the page before I can move on to something else. So you can see here that about there was where a page finish was. because I'm now changing up how I do this, and I'm going to do this in 10 by 10 block diagonals across the whole design, so that it changes all the colours up and that I don't feel like I'm stuck stitching the same thing or the same area all the time. I'm now working my way across, and the idea is that I'll get a full diagonal going across here. But like I say, I don't stitch diagonally, not like people like Blitz Stitch or Karen the Needlebug, who are what I call true diagonal stitchers. I still block. I still do my blocks in 10 by 10 blocks so that I don't get lost. I also end my threads on the front so I don't have to keep flipping my work. And what I'll do is, if I've stitched something and I'm going to end the thread rather than carry the threads because of the parking method, I will bring it down probably 200 stitches, park it somewhere down here, and then when I stitch this next block here, anything underneath there I will cut the ends off because it would have been stitched in the block below. So that's how, there is a method to the madness, people. But as you can see where my page finish was, where I'm still trying to get the diagonal. So I'm now working across here to get this diagonal to meet this point, then I'll straighten this bit out, and then from that point onwards it will be diagonal stitching in 10 by 10 blocks. And I'm loving that because it's just keeping me interested. I'm not stitching the same area and the same thing over and over again. So like I say, that only got 2 days worth of stitching, but because I was not working at the time, it got almost 2 full days of stitching, which makes a big difference on these projects. On Pattern Keeper, I believe that I'm around 20% done, because on Pattern Keeper it actually tells you a percentage completed. So I think this is about 20% done. I really do need to get a spurt on with this. This is one of my oldest whips. So yeah, it's in the mix for being one that I need to try and focus on as best I can. So my whole new way of working on the full coverage and using the Pattern Keeper, I think, is going to help with that. So next, so you'll remember that I was waiting on some fabric for my Elizabeth Weston, because I'd already started it, and I started it for my birthday, I think last year or the year before, can't quite remember. Here it is, Elizabeth Weston. It's a hands across the sea design. And when I was stitching on it, I originally went with, she says, check the notes. It was originally, I ordered a 32 count linen in Tudor Rose, in a like I say, a 32 count Tudor Rose by Pole Stitches. And that was the start that I made on it, she says. There we go. And at the time that I was stitching on it, I wasn't 100% sure what it was that I didn't like about it, but there was something that I didn't like. Then it's become apparent that actually I don't like the fact that because I did it on a 32 count instead of a 36 count, I had to use 2 strands instead of 1 over 2, which then for me made that look very blocky. It wasn't delicate, it just looked really, really blocky. So I couldn't get the same colour and the same fabric from Pole Stitches. At the time when I looked on their site, they only had 32 count was the highest count that they had available. So I had to improvise, and I went and done a little bit of research, and you'll remember from last month, I was waiting for the fabric to come in from XG Designs for a custom piece. So it came, I absolutely love it. In fact, arguably, I think I like the colour more than I liked the original colour. And I went with a 36 count Edinburgh linen. Now, because it's a custom dye, it doesn't have a name or anything along that lines. So Elizabeth Weston got 2 days worth of stitching. Now let me just flex this out so you can see. And now I'm stitching this 1 over 2 in a full cross, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely am loving the difference. It just looks so much more delicate. So much more delicate. I love the fabric, and just as an example of the difference between the 32 count and the 36 count, Which arguably at first I was thinking, well, that's not going to make that much of a difference. It really does. I think it does. You can see the difference in the border there. One is very, very blocky and one is very, very delicate. So yeah, definitely made the right call to put it onto a higher count and stitch it over one. Stitch over two with one strand. It's a much nicer stitch now. So that is Elizabeth Weston. So next up we have, oh, there's projects everywhere, people. There's not even enough space for everything. Let's put those over there. So next we have the Cricket Collection Winter. And about now you should be seeing where you last saw it. This one was being stitched on a 28 count chromatic alchemy fabric Lugana in the colourway Tempest. And this is where I've got to. So not amazing amounts of progress, people, but I've done the little snowflakey thing here. I've done the little bird at the top. There's a little bit of back stitch that needs to be done. The arms of the snowman still need to be done. But yeah, a little bit of love was happening with him. And winter got it got 3 days, but it was literally token gesture, like pick up a needle, do sort of 10 minutes and then put it down. It was that type of project. So that is that one. Next up we have, wow, so much. Next up we have Peacocks Lagoon. Again, a full coverage, a heaven and earth design. So this one got a little love. So Peacocks Lagoon got 1 day. But like I say, it's 1 day. This one is being stitched on a 25 count Magic Guides. And it's 2/1 half cross. It's a huge big bit of fabric, I have to say. So this is going to take me forever to stitch. And again, I'm trying to do the same thing on this one, where I'm trying to get it so that it's a diagonal across the design. And this is where I've got to. So you can see, oh, she says. So we got this bit down here, all completed. And then I've come up the top and I've started across the top. So again, she says, let's make this. So again, the plan is that I'm gonna get this bit to come over and meet to this, and then bring all of this in line so that it all goes diagonal. But absolutely loving that. Look at that moon. I'm so impressed with the moon. I just need more moon. So like I say, this is a very, very big project, and in all honesty, I'm too scared to look at the percentage of how much I've stitched on that, because it's almost negligible, I think. But yeah, we've got quite a way. I mean, I did get quite a lot done down here, and the fact that I'm moving over there just so that I can bring it all into a diagonal and work diagonally. Again, not diagonal stitching. It's 10 by 10 blocks for me, because I need the help with the counting. So that is Peacocks Lagoon. What's next? Next. Next we have Little House Needleworks. ABC Summer. If I've got a picture, I'll put it in here. And this one I'm stitching on 32 count linen by Pole Stitchers in colourway Tudor Rose. I haven't got that far, if I'm totally honest with you. Oh, hold on, Needleminders are on a moment. So this is where I've got to on this one. And this one I've basically almost completely subbed out every single one of the called for colours for something else, which when I've completed it I will put it all in the description box, but when I've completed it. And I've been using this one really for my live streams. Originally I thought it was because it was going to make it easier to just do little bits and pieces so that there wasn't too much counting, but I'll be completely honest with you, I don't think I've done any live stream yet on this project where I haven't had to rip something out because I went wrong. But hey, it's all the fun of stitching, right? So that one got two touches in this month. So 2 days I stitched on that one. And look, well, we're in autumn now, so I don't need to worry about having this done anytime soon, seeing as it's for summer. But it would be nice to have it done and finished in a really flash little way so that it's ready for the summer. So next up we have, she says, what do we have next? Let's have a little look. What have we got down here on the scrolls? Okay, so next we have a Heaven and Earth design mini Red Queen Red Dragon. This one is being stitched, I think, trying to remember for the life of me if this is a 25 count or a 28 count. I have a sneaky suspicion it's a 28 count magic guide. And again, I'm very happy with the progress on this one. This one got, how many days did this get? Mini Red Queen. This got 5 days worth of stitching this month. And that's where I got to. So again, I'm doing the same thing is happening again on this one. So I'm doing my 10 by 10 blocks, bringing it into the diagonal. I've got it to here. So have I got it? Yeah, so there's a page finish just here. That's the page finish there. So I'm still working my way in these blocks to bring this down to this corner here, and then I can bring this corner down to there, and then I will work diagonally across this one. But look at my little dragline. Got a little dragline. And I think this here is the top of her head. So yeah, I'm starting to get to a bit of detail on this one instead of just lots of background. But I love the colours. It's very pink. It's very me. And like I say, this one is being stitched 2/1 half cross. 2/1 half cross for that one. So this is what happens when I don't go to work. When I don't go to work and I'm told that I have to sit down and spend a bit of time sitting down, I will actually go and sit down with my stitching and actually get some stuff done. But as soon as I go back to work and there's, you know, housework and everything else that needs to happen, it's just like the stitching goes on a, well, I get stuff done, but nowhere near, I don't feel that I've accomplished all that I wanted to accomplish. Just life gets in the way, right? But I'm not the only one that happens to. Okay, so what do we have next? What's on this one? Okay, so next we have, so it's again a Heaven and Earth design. This one's a story keep, and it's Life is an Open Book in Paris. This one is being stitched on a 25 count magic guide, and this one is being stitched 1/1 full cross. Let me get my threads where I want them. And again, we're going across the whole design on this piece, and again made great progress. Loving the progress. I think there's not much more, and that's the end of it, and then literally it will just go across in the diagonals across there. Absolutely love the colours in it, love the detail. It's a lovely little stitch. yeah, and feeling totally accomplished again on another Haid. It's almost as if I went like on a Haid mission this month, because it was just like I felt like I'd been neglecting them so much. Because with the Haids, they're not really something that I particularly pick up and think to stitch on in the evenings, although they would be perfect, because I could just sit there and say to myself, just do 100 stitches, Teresa, in one 10 by 10 block, and that's your night of stitching, if that's all you can do. But I always think, oh, well, you know, it seems pointless to sort of even get it out and start stitching on it. But I really should change my approach with how I do it, because any stitch is progress. So, Story Keep. So this one actually got 2 days. 2 days worth of stitching. But again, they were two good amounts of hours stitching on those 2 days. So absolutely love that. So that is that one. And it was quite nice to just sit and keep switching out my Haids, like my full coverage. Sorry about the chair squeaking. It's probably the wrong chair that I could have sat on. It does help if I actually sit on it straight. So next we have something that isn't a Haid. So this is my, oh, I just threw things on the floor. Let me retrieve. So next up we have the Drawn Thread Welcome Christmas. Absolutely loving stitching on this, I have to say. Pleasantly surprised. And I'm not going to take it right out the Q-snap. I've just undone one side so you can see where it's got to. Let me see if I can put something behind it. That is where I've got to. Absolutely love the colours. I love working on the threads, the dinky dyes. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I actually spent a bit of the time at my retreat last weekend stitching on this. So yeah. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Really hoping to get sort of time on this so that I'll have something to put up at Christmas. Because, yeah, it's getting close. Although I know we're not talking about Christmas, people. Don't worry, we're not talking about Christmas. So, this one is stitched on. This fabric is a 28 count fabric by Pole Stitches. It's a 28 count Brittany Lugana in the colourway Pearl. So there we go. Love that one. And would you believe that the chart actually calls for mother of pearl star buttons and burgundy, I think it was burgundy buttons it needed. Well, Kirst, can you imagine? Do you think that I could find anything? So I went on a bit of a mission. These, I have to say, are probably the most expensive mother of pearl stars, of which I probably only need about one for this project. And I had to have them brought all the way from the US because I couldn't find them in the size that I needed anywhere in the UK. So let's just take, oh look, there's way more than I needed. I think, considering I only needed one of these, I think these set me back about 35 to 40 pounds to get them sent from the US. I know, it's craziness. The lengths that we will go to get the appropriate things. So yeah, so they were very expensive, and I'm hoping that I will find plenty of other projects that I can use these little star buttons on, because otherwise that was a very expensive one mother of pearl star for that project. And then I was on a hunt for some burgundy buttons, which I think is for the holly or something like that in the design. I couldn't find burgundy buttons, but I did find micro round red buttons. Here we go, that's what I found. So that's what I'm going to have to use. Not sure that it works perfectly. I don't know. Colour-wise, I think they're a little brighter than I would have liked. I would have liked something a little bit more sort of the same colour as this. But I can't find little 4mm burgundy buttons, because it appears that the only place you can buy these little burgundy buttons is anything to do with doll houses, which in the UK, that's not a big thing over here. So It's very hard to get your fingers on anything that's, you know, that small for buttons. I can find lots of burgundy buttons if I want giant buttons. But do you see what I mean? The colour's just not quite right. It really could do with being a little darker. I mean, if anyone knows where I can get little 4mm, she says, hang on, let me check. Yeah, 4mm burgundy buttons. Please point me in the right direction because that's the best I can come up with so far. But if that's all that I end up with, then that's what I end up with. And I'm fine with that because, yeah, I love the project anyway. So that is the drawn thread. And like I say, that got 3 days of stitching on it. Love that one. What next? So then we have the one that everyone loves to see, my Chatelaine. And considering that I went to a Chatelaine retreat last weekend and did Chatelaine stitching, I personally didn't do very much Chatelaine stitching. But then it wasn't like everyone had to stitch on the Chatelaine. You could stitch on what you wanted. It wasn't, the idea was that you turned up with your Chatelaines, but that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and just stitch on the Chatelaines. So I did a little bit, a token gesture on this, purely because I knew I wasn't concentrating, and the last thing I wanted to do was do something wrong on it, because yeah, that's rather an expensive mistake to make if I'd have gone wrong. So I was like, no, I don't want to go wrong. So I'm better to just do what I can when I know I'm actually concentrating, and then when I start veering off, as you do when you're at these retreats, I allowed for my brain to just, you know, switch off. So yeah, this one is always the biggest one to show you. So this is where we have got to. There we go. Now let me see if I can roll. Let me see if I can roll this one this way. Yeah. So all of that was pretty much there anyway. I haven't really touched much of that apart from doing a bit of beading, which I've been trying to do. So the bit that I actually worked on, she says, over here, is this gate. So, where are we? Yeah, there's some more snowflakes and bits that need to be put into these sections here and here. But I thought, well, rather than go and do yet again another tree, because you know how much I love these trees, not, I thought I would go and try and do this bit right here and get some more of the gate done. But that was my token gesture. So I did all of the outside and this middle section, and then filled in with the blue on the gate. So yeah. I might actually, if I can, try to have a little play with this through the course of this coming month and get some more done, because it's taking too long. I mean, whenever I've said it looks like it's sort of getting there, it is sort of getting there, but there's still so much that needs to happen on this one before that's the finish. Oh, hold on. I need to put my padding in there so that I don't crush anything. There we go. But there was so many people that was just stitching some gorgeous, gorgeous Chatelaines at the retreat. It just makes your eyes boggle. And Chris, I was like, oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. Because how they look on the website is absolutely nothing like what they look like when they're stitched up, I have to say. And there was so many gorgeous designs that I was like, oh. So the Chatelaine, Evening in the Park. This one's being stitched on a 25 count even weave fabric by Stephanie's in the colourway Abyss. And this got 1 day. 1 day at the stitching retreat. That's all it's had this month, because I've been all about the Hades this month. It's just been a thing. It's just been a thing, people. What can I say? You watch, this is all just going to come falling off the table in a minute. So that is it for the whips. I do feel really quite accomplished this month with the amount of stuff that I've got done. But then obviously, because I was going to the Chatelaine retreat and I'd sort of decided in my head that I wanted a new start with the new Chatelaine, I did have Sleeping Beauty all kitted up with the fabric and all of the threads and the pack. But I was like, I don't really want to start a monster. I mean, Sleeping Beauty is a bit like Evening in the Park. It is one of the giant ones, and lots of it. And I was like, I didn't really want to do that. I'd sort of set my heart on the fact that I wanted to start on the Frosty Knot garden. The lovely, you remember, oh God, I can't remember what year it was. Was it last year? Last February, just before COVID hit, me and Mary went out to visit Deborah out in Arizona, and she had that hanging on her wall and it looked divine. It looked gorgeous. And she was the one that said to me, out of all the chatelaines that she stitched, she found that one to be the easiest, and she said it wasn't too testing. So because I was like, well, that's sort of what I'm looking for, because I really do need to get Evening in the Park finished, but I also wanted something new. So because I fell down the rabbit hole of deciding that if I could get my hands on the fabric, I would start my new chatelaine whilst I was at the retreat. And I had everything crossed. So I had fabric that was ordered from Jodery Designs, of which I sent her a little chaser email, and she said, oh, I did say email. And I was like, no, it's fine. I just wanted to know whether it might get to me in time. You know, there's no pressure. And then because I wasn't 100% sure it was going to get here, I put an order in for 123 stitch, because Deborah actually let me know what fabric she used for her one. And I was thinking, well, if I've got 2 bits of fabric winging its way to me, hopefully one will make it before I go to the retreat. Would you believe it? The day that I actually went, so on the Friday morning, I left here at about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And then my husband rang me at about 9:30 to say, was you expecting some deliveries? So I was like, yeah, they soft and squishy. And he was like, yeah, 2 of them. And I was like, can you open them for me? And he opened both of them. And would you believe that both the Jodery Designs fabric and the 123 stitch fabric both turned up on the same day after I'd already left for the retreat. So I couldn't turn around and come back for it. So I didn't start my new chatelaine whilst at the retreat. However, the day that I got back, I did, because I was just like, but I wanted to start it. So I decided I was going to start it anyway. So you all know that I was hinging on the Frosty Knot garden. And after doing a bit of a toss with the colours and the fabric, I'll put some pictures in here so that you can see the dilemma that I was in. So the bluier, greyer one was the Jodery Designs fabric, and the greenier one was the 123 stitch fabric. And in the end, with a toss of all the threads, I decided to go with the 123 stitch fabric, of which I have to say the Jodery fabric, I'll show you that momentarily, that will come into use because it's just such a lovely looking fabric. So the chatelaine, so it was a new start on the 27th of this month, so it's had 3 days of stitching, but I say 3 days, it's been 3 days since I've been back to work. So literally these have been like an hour in the evening, that's all it's had. And this is where I've got to. So the fabric. So first of all, the fabric. Now, you know that I'm a bit of a sucker for a hand-dyed fabric. And you can see from this fabric, this is not a hand-dyed fabric. This is a plain bit of fabric. I'm going to let the design do all the talking. It is on a 28 count jubbling in the colourway Star Sapphire. And it's almost like a mint green type colour. I love the colour. In fact, that's the sort of colour I was thinking for my bedroom upstairs. I was thinking of like a sagey green, minty green colour with grey. There you go. So a little bit of decor idea as well of what I'm thinking. More about that coming up. So this is where I've got to. Let me put something behind it. She says, what have we got? There we go. Let's put that behind it. Like I say, very little progress on this. That is where I've got to. But it started. It's already started. And I couldn't help myself. And I love the fabric. I love the colour of the fabric. So at the moment, this hopefully is going to be the project that I'm going to stitch on this weekend, at least for today. And then maybe I should bring my Chatelaine out, my evening in the park out on Sunday. I'm not sure. But like I say, I'm back to work now. So the problem with being back to work, although I'm saying I'm back to work, I'm back working from home. So there's a bit of news about all of that a little bit later in the video, because I know that not everyone wants to know the dramas of Teresa's life. So yeah, so that is the new star and that is the whips. Feeling really accomplished this month. So also it was my birthday. It was my birthday literally the day before I went to the retreat. Hence the reason why instead of travelling up to the retreat on Thursday, so that I could settle myself in and be ready for the Friday, I actually travelled up on the Friday because my birthday was on the Thursday. And I got some goodies for my birthday. And you know when it's just like you get some good, like you get some things that you think were like the best presents ever, and then some that you're like, actually that wasn't the best present ever. Well, the one that was the best present ever is my new sewing box. You wait till you see this. I saw this and I said to my husband, I love that. And you know what, at first, the fact that he didn't really seem to be paying any attention, I was thinking, he's never going to get it for me because he's not actually paying attention. He obviously did, because he bought me my little beehive sewing box. And it's lovely. Look, it's got like a thatched top, and it's got bees all over it. And then it's got a drawer at the front, she says. It's got a little drawer at the front. And then in the top, I've already filled it up with stuff. Look, you can tell. It's got all the things in there, people. Absolutely love this. In fact, I love this so much that then when I can't even remember how I fell across it, but since I got this and loaded it up, and I was like, oh, it's just so pretty and so lovely. And then all of a sudden, I managed to see some other bits and pieces that matching that go with the set. So I'll put some pictures in here. One is like a wool needles and applique bag, and the other one is like a drawstring bag. So of course I had to have those so I can have the matching set, because I love it. Absolutely love that. So that was like the yay moment. I was like, oh, got something. And then there was this other deal breaker, which I'd specifically said to Lauren, this is what I want. I want it for my retreat and I want it for my birthday. So Lauren's like, yeah, it's fine, Mum, I can get that for you. So, because she did. Well, it was a daylight lamp. But it wasn't supposed to be just a daylight lamp. It was supposed to be an all singing, all dancing USB daylight lamp stroke magnifier, of which didn't turn up being a USB magnifying daylight lamp. It turned out to be one that you plugged in. But what I did like about it was that it folded up. So I was like, well, that's perfect for my retreats. And then I can put it on the table. I can use it as the magnifier. Let me explain it. So you put it up like that, and then this bit sort of goes down and angles whichever way you want it. And then inside there is the magnifier. And the light is really bright. Let me just show you. Let me plug it in. So the fact that it wasn't a USB chargeable, well, I don't quite know what happened there. I must have given her the wrong link. And then it's a very bright light. Look, you can see how bright it is. And then obviously you can use this thing on the top. However, when I've took it to the retreat and I've tried this, it's got 3 settings. So you can have like a subdued light. There we go, so have some mood lighting. When I've actually tried it at the retreat, as far as a light is concerned, so if you flap that down and you've got that sort of, this bit moves so you can angle the light out. This bit moves so you can angle it down, and it sits on a table like that. Because it's nice and lightweight, you can have it so that it hangs off the table over your stitching. Like that if you want to. Yeah, look. There we go. See? So as far as the light's concerned, it's good. For the magnifier in the top, hang on, let's turn the light off so I don't blind you. For the magnifier in the top, total waste of time. Total. It's so small, you can't see anything in it. And it's got this little spot eye thing, which just, I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Which just got in the way of everything. And for the magnifier, like, you know, normally when you look in a magnifier, it's sort of like there's a way of adjusting the magnification so that you can angle it where you need it so you can actually see. I can't see anything in there. So yeah, so basically it was just a really good desk light, really. See? So I did use it at the retreat as my light. As my light, it was perfect. But as a magnifier, which was sort of what I was thinking, I really wanted to have, because obviously we're going to the retreats, I don't want to keep taking my massive great big floor stand. One, because it blinds everybody else. And two, it would be nice now that I've got my table clamp that I use on the side of the table when I'm not using my floor stand, to have like a magnifier that sits over the top with the big light in it. And I saw there was a few people at the retreat that had that. Like they had like a nice substantial sized magnifying light that was on like a cordy thing that they attached to the desk or they attached to something, and it sat over the top so that they could see their stitching and it would light up. I don't know which one is the best one to go with or where to find them. So if anyone's got any suggestions for me that would work for a desk setup, because the magnification and the magnifying light, really, I mean, I could use it on my Larry stand. I could use it on my Larry desk stand for when I'm at retreats, that I could possibly clip to my needle knee stand and put that over the top as well. But like I say, at the moment I've not been able to find anything, and given that I thought this would be a deal breaker, and it actually is just a very glorified, very, very good light, but just a light in my opinion, I would have preferred something that could have covered both things for the cost. I think this set us back about £45. But the beauty of this is, for a travelling light, it's perfect because it folds up to that. So if you're travelling abroad or you need to put it in a suitcase, yeah, great little light. Just as far as a light magnifier, no, it's not. It's not one of those. So there you go. So that was the birthday treat. So I felt really quite privileged. Lauren bought me some nice new earrings and a new charm for my bracelet. My mum has paid for the framing of Andromeda and Autumn Promise, which is with the framers, and I'm now on my little 4-week wait until they're ready to be picked up. So I will share those with you when they come back. Oh, what else to tell you, people? So I had a comment in my comments of last month, a couple of them, which I thought I would answer on the video. And the only reason I'm doing that is because one of the comments was about giving back information that I've got. So, lovely lady sent me a really, really lovely message, basically saying, just a suggestion, if you ask a question such as one about stitching or silk threads or something that I'm asking a question of, and the community then come back with brilliant ideas, she said it would be brilliant if you could share the response that you're given. She's basically said she's a very experienced stitcher but still has many things to learn, and working with silks is one of them. She really appreciates discovering what she's learned. Now, lovely, lovely message. Thank you so, so much. I'm not sure I've actually had the chance to answer the messages on my YouTube channel as yet. However, the one thing I will say is, with the amount of times that I ask a question and I get lots and lots of information back, if I was then to try and put that in a video and talk about it on the video of all the answers that I got, my videos would probably be about 3 hours long. So what I've always relied on is the fact that whoever is watching the video and is interested in something that I've said, that they scroll through the comments, Because any comments or any feedback that I get with regards to a question or something that I've said, or I've reached out to the community to say, does anyone got any idea of or how you, 9 times out of 10, it will be something that is answered in the comments below the video. So for those of you that are thinking, I would like to know the answer to that question, if I've asked a question out to this wonderful community of stitchers, I can't sit here and input the information into a video vocally because, yeah, well, you know how long my videos are. I could ramble till the cows come home. And to actually remember all of the comments, because sometimes you get so many answers back and so many responses back from different people giving you different information. It would be very difficult for me to then share it back in a video. So my suggestion is, if I ever ask a question of the community about something you're interested in, or something that you would like to learn, or something you would like to know, please make sure to check all the comments in the video, because most, and I say most, almost all of the responses that I get go into the comments of that video. So yeah. Just a heads up, people. If you're looking for the answers to anything that I've asked, where you know that it's likely someone knew the answer, or someone has got a suggestion, or someone has an idea, definitely check the comments in the videos below, because that is where you will find all of that good information that the community share with me. And that way, not only are they sharing it with me, but they're sharing it all with you as well, which is fabulous. And then another one that really sort of like tugged on my heartstrings, and I thought I really do need to bring it up in my videos, is that when I said I was going on a stitching retreat, there was a lovely lady that said she'd love to go to a stitching retreat, but in all truthfulness, I don't think my stitching is good enough. Well, I have to say, don't ever feel that way. Please don't ever feel that way. When we go to the stitching retreats, no one is sitting there scrutinising your stitching. No one is looking at your stitching to see what you're doing. Well, they might have a little look if it's something they're actually really, you know, wowed by. People will look at your stitching, but no one sits in judgment of anybody else's stitching. I've known people that have just sat there literally for a whole retreat and just stitched on those little Mill Hill kits. And that's what I mean. It's more about the socialisation and you getting to see what everyone else is stitching. But please don't ever feel, if there's anyone out there that is choosing not to go to retreats because they don't feel that their stitching is good enough, or they're not an experienced enough stitcher, please don't think that. I mean, yeah, I don't even know how to express that, because the thought of having someone that considers that their stitching isn't very good, or that they're new to stitching so therefore they can't go to a retreat. These retreats are not for professionals. They're not for professional stitchers. They're not even for people that are, you know, long season stitchers. That's not what the retreats are for. The retreats are for everybody. People that have never picked up a needle and thread, right the way through to the ones that have, you know, can do just about anything standing on their head. You know, they can stitch in hoop, they can stitch on a scroll, they can stitch in hand, they can stitch with their eyes shut. Yeah, there's people like that. But that doesn't mean that they're the only ones that can go to a retreat. Retreats are open to everyone, and no one sits in judgment of anybody else's stitching. That's the beauty of it. So please don't think you can't go to a retreat because you don't think your stitching is good enough, or you're not experienced enough, or yeah, well, any reason at all, because that is not the case. I just thought I'd share that, because the fact I've had the comment, I was just like, oh wow, does she honestly think she can't go to a retreat because she doesn't think her stitching is good enough? No, that's not the case. Not the case at all. And I'm sure that everyone in this community would agree with me that these retreats that are set up, regardless of where in the world they are for anyone that wants to use a needle and thread. They are for anyone that wants to do a bit of stitching. They are for anyone that wants to connect with the community and spend a bit of time with like-minded people, talking about like-minded things and talking about the hobby that we love. And it doesn't matter whether it's your new hobby and that you've only done it for a week or so and you've got the tiniest little project in the world. That really doesn't matter. You can still go to the retreats. You will still be welcomed with open arms. No one is sitting in judgment of you. Okay, so I just thought I would share that because it came into my comments of my last video. Next. So on last month's video, I done a giveaway. Yes, I did. Where I said that I was, I looked at this, I looked at it with magnification and I couldn't see it. And I said I would give away this 1/16 fat, 1/16 fat, not quite sure what that means. Weeks Dye Works 46 count in the colourway tin roof. Here it is in its little bag. So I said in the last video, in your comments somewhere, mention the word tin roof and this can be yours. So I run the draw offline and about now you should be seeing who the winner is. So she sent me the message saying I've recently moved to 36 count so I could only use one thread. I'd love to try tin roof. And that was Susan Alba. So Susan Alba, I think that's how you say your name. Congratulations. Please reach out to me. You will find my Instagram, my email address in the comments below. Contact me. Let me find out what your address is and I will get this in the post to you pronto. So congratulations, Susan. This month I received some very, very heartwarming, love-felt, super exciting loveliness from the community. So I had two very, very lovely ladies who reached out to me and wanted to do a random act of kindness, and they did, and wow, did it make me swell, I have to say. It's the best feeling ever. So both of them wanted to make me some socks. I've always loved handmade socks. I've never had a set of handmade socks. And you know when you just, I would love to have handmade socks. These lovely ladies in question obviously are sock knitters. And I was totally wowed by the knitting, I have to say. And it's made me sit there thinking, Teresa, you really should try this. You really should, because I could sit and make these all day long if mine looked like this. But these are amazing socks. So let me share with you my socks. So first of all, the lovely lady Susan Batchen, is it? Batchen? I think it's Batchen. She reached out to me asking for the details of my feet, which is all really quite fresh and new to me. She stitched me, she didn't stitch me, she knitted me these lovely, lovely socks. And I think it's her grandchildren, sent me these lovely little gift tags that come with my socks. Look at that, look at that. And they were learning to put something in the post, so there was a little video on Susan's Instagram where she was showing where the children were learning to do gift tags and wrap up the parcel to put it in the post. So I feel totally honoured, I have to say. And she even done like a little tag for me where she told me how she made the socks. And she said that both socks were knitted 2 at a time on circular needles. And it's a Drops Fabel sock yarn, machine wash, no tumble dry. See, she even told me everything that I need to know. I was just like, how cool is that? So here are my lovely socks that she knitted me. There we go. Look at them. Look at my socks. My knitted socks. I love my socks. So as a demonstration on one's foot, I can only lift one leg, so it'll have to be the good leg. So just to prove to you, Susan, that your socks fit me perfectly. Look at that! Look at my socks. I'm so excited about my socks. Do you know what? I've been waiting to wear these socks for like almost a whole month so that I could wear them. But I'm like, I can't wear them before I go on to Flosstube and show it to everyone. I've got to show them before I start wearing them. So yeah, so that is my first pair of socks. Handmade socks from Susan. So thank you so much, Susan, and thank you for the children for their lovely little gift tags. That was lovely. Thank you so much. And then there was a gorgeous, gorgeous lady by the name of Anne Baxter. And if you're interested, wow, I mean, she's called the Sock Tart on Facebook. So I'll put her information below. And when her socks turned up to me, you know when you're like, wow, I'm blown away. So they turned up in this beautiful little box. Look at that. And it was all lovely, lovely gift wrapping. She gave me a couple of sneak peeks on Instagram just to show me the pictures of them before they turned up. And you know when you're like, oh wow, they're just so me. Would you look at these sparkly little numbers? Look at them. Are they not divine? I love those. And it's like a sparkly, I don't know if I can get it to capture the sparkles, people. I don't know, can you see the sparkles? Can you see the sparkles? I don't think you can. But I absolutely love these. So Anne, thank you so, so much. I have to demonstrate again. I love in these socks. I've been waiting honestly, it took all my willpower in the world to wait before I actually wear these. Look at them socks. Would you look at them? I love those. Do you know what? I think I'm going to be really quite reluctant to wear any socks that are like shop bought now after trying these on. So thank you so, so much. I love my socks. My socks are lovely. Now I just need to learn how to knit my own damn socks so that I can have a whole drawer of socks. And maybe make some for, you know, hubby and Lauren and... Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen, is it? Well, you'll see what I mean upcoming when I show you my knitting. Yeah, it's not good. So if you're interested in seeing... I mean, the beauty of... Well, these socks specifically are on a hand-dyed wool, from what I can remember. Let me see if I've got the information. I'm sure she sent... Yes, she did. No, she didn't. I'm sure she said they're on a hand-dyed wool, which is a bit more expensive than a non-dyed wool. So I don't... She said, like... She used to... I think she does do socks for custom people. So if, like, people want some socks made, she can do sort of made socks. I mean, I went onto her Facebook page, like I say, Sock Tart on Facebook, and I was blown away by the number of socks and the different types of socks that she's knitted. And I'm pretty sure that if anyone wanted some socks knitted up and you was prepared to pay for the lovely yarn and the hand-dyed yarn, then definitely go give her a little look. I mean, she's even sent me, look, she's even sent me some little twirled up balls of the wool. See that? Look at that. Oh, it's just like, oh, and I love it. And you can see where this is hand-dyed. It's a hand-dyed wool. But yeah, I must admit, I was blown away. I was blown away. So I've got these little bits with my socks. See? And she also, lover, sent me a very, very lovely needleminder from Denkai Designs. I love that. Look at that. And it even matches my nails. Look. It's almost like she was in sync with me. So a very, very, very huge thank you to Anne Baxter, the Sock Tart, on Facebook for my gorgeous socks. So a huge, huge, heartfelt thank you. Thank you so, so much, ladies, for the lovely socks. So thank you so much, Susan and Anne, for my socks. And now I can actually wear them. And I need to learn to knit some socks because I love them. Absolutely love them. I'm blown away by socks. Okay, so what's next? This is the point where, for those of you that have listened to me waffle, have seen all these good things, and you're like, Teresa, I'm done. That's fine. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. But for those of you that are into a bit of haul, a bit of life update, and to see my really quite poor effort of knitting, hang about, because that's coming up next. So we're at the haul section, people. So for those of you that want to see what I've been spending my money on, I wouldn't say I've gone crazy. I don't think I've gone crazy. But there is a little bit. There is a little bit, I'll confess. So you'll remember back from my last video, I mentioned to you that there was a lovely lady by the name of Tina on Etsy called Be Busy Bags that does the sleeves for the scroll bars. But she also does other stuff as well. So I couldn't help myself after looking around in the UK and couldn't find anywhere for the things that I wanted. I decided that I would throw caution to the wind because it was my birthday and treat myself to some of her goodies. And because I did that, she also gifted me, well, she done a nice little sort of extra thing for me. So she sent me a lovely little bag with a scissor keep. Oh, there it is, inside. It's got a little brand thing on the top, look, Be Busy Bags. So thank you so, so much, Tina, that's lovely. And I asked for some scroll bar covers or scroll bars for my, you know, my big projects. And also a grime guard for an 11 by 9 Q-snap. So here's my 11 by 9 Q-snap. And again, it's got a branding on the inside, little Be Busy. Beautiful grime guards. Matches my bag, my little project bag. And also I ordered the bar sleeves. So, here they are. So, this is the sleeves. It's got a little tie up so that I can tie them up. It's got a little handle, and just inside it's got her little tag. But that is how I store my scroll bars, and I love it because I can just hang everything up. All on its scrolls. I don't ever take anything off. But I got a few bags. So I got one for my really big bars. I got another one that is for my, I think my 24-inch scroll bars. And again, exactly the same. Beautifully made. Little tag on the handle. Lovely little project bag or scroll bar bag. I think they're called scroll bar sleeves. Oh, everything's falling off the table. And then one more, I think this was for my 36. My 36-inch bars. So yeah. And I said to her, I didn't really have in mind any type of fabric colour or design, but she asked me what I would like. I said to her, you know, give me some ideas. So she sent me a little picture of all the ideas, and I was like, yep, I'll go with whatever your suggestion is. So Tina, thank you so, so much. The shipping wasn't massively expensive in the grand scheme of things in the end. And it didn't take as long as I thought they would to get here. So they did sort of make it within, I think within about 3 weeks, I think they got here. So yeah, so I'm truly grateful. So if you're looking for either project bags or grime guards or project sleeves like these, like I say, Tina Healy at Be Busy Bags on Etsy, because she does a wonderful job. And if there's something that you're looking for that isn't on her site, of course, reach out to her. I'm pretty sure that, you know, if there's not something on there that you're looking for, she can normally help you. And it was such a lovely service, and she was very quick with her responses, which is fabulous. So then, what else turned up? I might have fell down a bit of a rabbit hole, people, you know, because it would be rude not to. And that is that I was looking for some more needle minders. And I fell across this lovely, lovely lady, of which I have to say, I'm like, you know when you get something and you're like, at first, oh, well, I'll wait and see what it's like. But when it turns out, it's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. So you'll know that there's quite a lot of people that love the clay by Kim's. Yes, they are dragons. Yes, they're full of detail. I don't think she does them in the UK. They're not easy to get your hands on now here in the UK or anywhere else by the sounds of it, because they're so sought after. But there is a lady on Etsy called Pedro's Plaques. So she's got a website and she's on Etsy. Here's the card. Pedro's Plaques even. And she does these needle minders, and when I saw them I was like, I have to have them. So these are the ones that I got. And I've took them off projects just so that I could show them, because I was frightened that I'd forget to show them. So here's the first one. So there's a little bumblebee on a flower. Of course, it goes with my new sewing box. And here's another one with bumblebees. Look at that. And the fact that they're as big as they are, I like them because they're nice and big rather than little. They're nice and big for my needles to sit on. And then finally, when I saw this one, and this one was a hat to have, especially since now I've took up a little bit of knitting, although, well, you'll see what I mean shortly. I got this one, which is like a little knitted ball with some flowers on it. And each one on the back is like a button. So a matching coloured button, look, buttons on the backs. So if you're looking for some 3D type needle minders that I think are made of clay or something along that lines, then definitely check out her site. She does other needle minders as well and other bits and pieces, but as soon as I saw these, I was like, I have to have these. And I have a sneaky suspicion that you're going to see a lot more of these from me, because I absolutely adore these. Absolutely adore them. I think I might have to get some fall type ones, so you know, some pumpkins and Halloweeny type things, just because I haven't got any of those. But yeah, absolutely love those. So that is my little spend on some needle minders, because I don't really have that many needle minders. I'm not like a needle minder mad person. Sorry about the rush. I've also now signed up for a new Threads of the Month club with Lakeside Needlecrafts, because, you know, it's rude not to. So I decided that it's about time I started getting a little collection of classic colourworks. So I think I've got 2 months now. So I think I've got August ones which turned up in September, and then this other lot I think turned up at the end of September into October. So here's what I've got so far. She says these are the ones that have turned up. So there's just a bit of everything in there. And I think the idea is that by the end of it, I'll have the full set of classic colourwork colours. So I'm going to give those a go and see what I think of stitching with those, and whether I actually use them in a lot of, because there are a lot of projects that I've got waiting in the wings, to be honest, the smaller stuff that actually calls for classic colourworks. So I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I should just try and get them and see how I like them. And it gives me the option to change stuff up a little bit instead of just going with DMC. So there was that, where I decided that I was missing out on a Thread of the Month club. Like I said, I ordered some fabric from Jodery Designs for my Frosty Knot garden. And I ordered a 25 count Lugana in Pixie Potion. Obviously I've not used it because I went with the Star Sapphire from 123 Stitch. But here is the fabric. Now, it is a little mottled, but the whole point of this is that it's supposed to be so subtly done that it's not an obvious blend. And I think she's done a very good job of that, because there are certain areas of it that are slightly lighter than others. But it is more of a bluey colour, and obviously I needed the greeny colour when I done my floss toss. Well, you saw in the picture, but in the camera you can see the difference. One is much more bluey and one is much more on the green spectrum. So yeah, so hence the reason why I decided to go with that. But because this is such a good colour, and I think it would work with a lot of things, yeah, couldn't help myself on that. So I was like, that's still going to be a great bit of fabric to use, because there's lots of projects that I could use for this. Because it's almost, although it's like it's a bluey colour, it's actually really quite a good neutral. It is quite a good neutral colour. So yeah, it won't go to waste. But then I don't think any fabric that we get goes to waste, does it? There's usually something you can find to put on something. And then finally, for the haul, we're getting there, people, we're nearly there. Finally for the haul, I fell down the rabbit hole. And it might have something to do with the Owl Forest embroidery rabbit hole. I know, like I needed anything else. But when I saw some other people's, and I was like, do you know what, I've never actually gone on their website and had a little look. When I did, oh wow. Oh wow, well I fell down a rather big rabbit hole, because I ended up ordering this one. Owl Forest embroidery cherry orchard. So there it is. And when it turned up, I didn't really know what to expect. The goodies you get in here, people. What can I say? Would you look at those threads? Would you look at them? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm loving that little combination of stuff there. So cute. And then I've got some fabric for it. Would you believe it? You know, I always say, why is it always stitch on blue? Always stitching on blue. And then blow me, I'm starting my Chatelaine on a green, and this is a green. It's a slightly different green. See, look. See, it's ever so slightly different green. But this is green as well, so I'm like, oh, fancy that. Fancy that. Whatever those two projects are, they'll go in the same room, methinks. And what else came in here? We also got the needles and the Needleminder. And the Needleminder is the Needleminder that matches the design. I mean, I don't know where I've been all my life. How comes I didn't know about the Owl Forest embroidery stuff? And that it was all matching like this? Because you know I'm a sucker for things that match. There we go. Look, let me take the needles off so I can show it to you. Look at that. I love that. Look, and it's the little house, so it totally matches. Totally matches the design. Love. Although, I'm sitting there going, I love it, but then when I saw the charts, because it's all paper format, I have to say, I was a bit like, ooh, I was a bit overwhelmed. You know, like when you guys say to me, you know, you get a bit overwhelmed at the thought of a Chatelaine, which to me, I'm like, I don't understand why anyone's overwhelmed by one of those. They've got such good instructions in them that, you know, they're easy to work out. When I saw the instructions for this, yeah, even I was like, I'm a little confused. It might just be I'm confused because, well, it's just like, well, so the chart, I mean, I didn't realise this had loads of specialty stitches in it. I didn't realise that. I'm not going to show you the top half because that's the chart, or part of the chart. But just the specialty stitches alone are on like, and then you've got diagrams, and then, but yeah. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of that going on. Yeah. I mean, they're very big, so at least you never not have to worry about not being able to read it. But I think I'm going to have to spend a bit of time sort of really looking through this as to what is what and how I work my way through the chart. So, but that's another bit of excitement. So I might actually start that this month if I get, you know. At the moment, I'm all about starting all the things. I could end up with, like, I don't know, hundreds of projects at this rate. But I absolutely love this. Absolutely love it. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. I love that little house in the middle. And the fact that this says Cherry Orchard, and I live down an orchard. Well, the road name that I live in is Orchard. So I was just like, it's like an omen to me. It's an omen. I have to have it. So that's another one for starting. But it's a kit. It is a true kit. So I don't need to worry about going and getting anything because it's all here. So there we go. There's all the rabbit holes that I fell down. There's all the things that I've done because I'm crazy like that, or I seem to be a bit crazy like that. What else to tell you? Wow. It's a whole lot of video today. What else to tell you? So knitting. I know you all want to know about the knitting. So let's show you the knitting. The knitting, I have to say, I thought was going good guns, and slowly but surely, every single time I've done something on it, something else has gone wrong. That's how badly this is going. But I'm determined I will not give up. I am not giving up. I will persevere. So you'll remember that I had decided I wanted to do the shrug, because worst case scenario, if it wasn't good enough to be a shrug, I could just turn it into a lap blanket for when I'm laying on the sofa. And it was the Decisiveness Bulky Scoop Shrug Knitting Pattern that I got off Etsy. Broomfields. Here it is. So that will be the shrug. There we go. And after a little bit of research on the wall, all the walls turned up for what I wanted. And the wall that I went with was, she says, Malabrigo yarn. Yeah, Malabrigo yarn in the colourway Perusian Blue. So there it is. And then the name of the yarn that I'm using is there. That one. Malabrigo yarn. Here it is. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Love that. And because there's so much of it, and it's all in skeins, she says, I've actually got a, what do they call it? A yarn winder and ball maker thing. The two things together so that I can just whizzle it around and it will turn it into a pretty ball, because all the time that they're in these skeins, I can't put them in a bag because they're just too big. If they were a ball, it would be easier to work with. So I have this wall for this project, of which I made a start, and we started off good guns, people. We did. It was all going so well, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And yeah, even to this day, I still can't quite work out what I did wrong. So it looks like a giant rah-rah skirt now. I love the colour. You can already spot some of the problems, right? So this bit seems to be going okay. So where I've got like the edge, and then it goes into, I think you call that a stockinette stitch. And it all seems to be going fairly well, apart from I went wrong down here, and I still, for the life of me, can't work out what I did. There it is, look. So I've got a couple of holes in there, but they're not unravelling or undoing. I think I've done like a yarn over, or I've done something, but yeah, there's something not quite right there. And then, where else? We've got some more holes. I think we've got some holes, yeah, we've got some holes in the bottom rib, which I'm hoping that I can just tie up. You won't see that. Other than that, it's okay. But you know when you just like, why? Why is this so hard? Why do I end up with holes in it? Because there's like the odd hole. There's not like all holes. But then when I do make a boo-boo, I make it so that it's a really big boo-boo. Like that one there. Which I now think the only thing I can do is just try and put some wool over it and tie it in a knot. So yeah, so as you can see, the dilemmas of knitting. And I honestly thought, how on earth can this be this difficult when this is just knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. Do you know what? I had less holes in my other shrug that had yarn overs and knit togethers in it than this has got. And I've only just started this. I mean, this is only like up to my waist from my bottom. I mean, I've got a little ways to go yet. We've got at least another 3 lots of that to go. So God knows what's going to happen. And then because I had to add the yarn together as well, because I run out of yarn, I needed to start a new ball. That was a whole new thing for me because I've never done that. A bit like I've never added a colour. So yeah, so I've got these strands hanging at the back here. And I think I'm supposed to knit those into the back, but how the hell we do that, I don't know. But yeah, so welcome to the world of Teresa's knitting. The more this goes on, the more I'm seeing this could end up just being a blanket on my lap at this rate. But I'm going to persevere, and the fact that it's such gorgeous wool and it wasn't cheap, I need to try and make the best of this as best I can. But it is big and there's lots of it, so you know, just to knit a row, I need to have enough time to finish the whole row. You can't it's the only thing with knitting, you can't finish halfway through across the row, you have to finish the rows. So that is that. So that is the knitting, but like I say, as you can see, it's not going terribly well again. But I'm determined. I'm very determined. We have to get Teresa knitting because it's coming up winter and Teresa wants to be able to knit socks. So I need to learn to knit. As well as, I think I mentioned that there was my enablers, my knitty friend enablers, so Orietta and MJ and Trisha, you all know who you are. Even Mary, yeah, you all know who you are. You're all on that little messenger group and think that I don't see you, but I stalk you. I lurk. I lurk and watch, and then whenever I reach out to them, like, oh, Teresa, just try this. Well, they're the ones that decided that it would be a good thing for me to try this different thing. So it was their idea that I should have a go at this other shawl type thing as a practice because it had different stitches in it and it would help. But here's a picture. So I think I've shown this already. Well, I downloaded the tutorial thing that's like a lessoning thing. So you like do the lesson and you do it. Haven't started it yet. However, the wool turned up. Oh my God. If nothing else, I think I just want to collect wool just so I can hang it on the wall because it's so pretty. So the wool that I went with is for these particular shawls. And I can't remember what one I went with in the end. I think it was I don't know. But anyway, so here's one of them. And then the combination pack that goes with it is here. Look at that. I love that. I thought that I went with the dusk, is what I thought I went with. But then when the lady rang me from the shop and was saying, what wool was it that you wanted? Because she had other options there, even though the website wasn't showing that she had options. This is what I actually went with in the end. So I love those. Look at that combination. So now all I need to do is get my shrug sorted out so that I can start on my scarf with my knitting. Because, yeah, I need to knit all the things. So I think that just about wraps everything up, people. I've told you everything that I have, everything that I know, everything that you need to know, everything that I need to know. Is what it is, right? So, yeah, I'm sure that October will be yet again another month of whirlwind action. I just need to try and do all the things, or something, or anything, or whatever I manage. And until next time, bye-bye for now.